The story starts as a very boring salaryman named Atsumi Tsukaki seems lifeless as he describes himself to be useless at everything. It seems the days for him, that repeated like clockwork. He imagines this would continue for the rest of his life, however that way of life has completely changed, as somehow or another a Neet has settled down in his own home. It seems their meeting was an abrupt one, as he narrowly escaped that. It seems it was something that he only found out the first time, but he had blood relations to his samurai ancestors and it was thanks to that he was possessed by evil lightning it seems. The Neet was a fierce warrior who offered to give him some help about his condition. We are then in the future where the Neet is happily enjoying food, calling Atsumi an angel. She finds this to be the best as she doesn't have to worry about working and could get 3 meals a day and play games all she wants. Hearing this made Atsumi to be very happy as she is the first person to be happy on what he does. Exclaiming he doesn't hate the idea if Shijori stays in his home. Hearing this made her embarrassed, excusing herself. But this embarrassment left her to panic in her mind, wondering if this was just all work for the sake of her neat way of life. It seems their relationship is more of a condition as she protects Atsumi from apparitions or monsters. It seems he was the master but is rather unfocused. When he's off work she is just a regular Neet, but his words struck her heart. This made her to be frustrated and should at least help him out. As she tries to tell him the truth for the sake of her Neet life. She didn't expect she would receive a gift and a token of appreciation. This suddenly made her to be at loss for words, and exclaims rather it should be her who is indebted to him. She showed her appreciation, being overjoyed by this. As her days continue of being a Neet, she decides to play games with Atsumi. She claims of being good but was defeated instantly, but upon more matches came she was devastated to find her skills lacking. She then muttered to Atsumi that spending time together like this occasionally doesn't seem too bad, asking they should do it again. Flustered at this, it seems she couldn't help but socialize with him again, but immediately insists on playing more games, taking one step further from becoming a Neet. As we transition months into the future, ever since Shijori and Atsumi made a master-servant contract, it seems she has a recent problem where Atsumi's life never seems to change, which she insists on doing something about it. But it seems she only wanted him to play the limited quest for her as she finishes off the monsters that haunts him. Atsumi questioned if it's alright to be doing these kinds of things, but in the end he doesn't really give it much thought as he is content seeing Shijori to be happy. As the next day arrives, he seems to have a forced business trip, leaving Shijori all alone. He suddenly became worried if she could take care of herself. However, she seems confident to give assurance as she is used to living alone. Upon seeing the extreme limited edition figurine on an auction site, she wonders what to do and if she should spend all the money she was left with for food. In the end, she seems to give in her desires as 2 weeks later Atsumi was shocked to see her shudder and grumble in hunger as all she ate was bean sprouts due to spending all of her money on the figurine. She then pleaded with cute eyes that he cooks something for her. He also seems to had the same idea, buying her a limited edition figurine of Emu, which left her surprised as this was overkill. As days passed, the greatest test of a Neet's abilities came. It seems his master Atsumi came down with a cold. Lying in bed and seeing his state, she insists of having him to rely on her today. But upon hearing him request a rice meal, she instantly became confused as she doesn't know how to cook. In the kitchen she tried her best to cook up a meal for him, but upon tasting it she was left no other choice to suggest he eat something like ice cream. Upon leaving in a hurry carrying his wallet, she encountered another monster. Filled with rage seeing the giant monster in front disturbing her rare burst of motivation, she defeated this in an instant, where in the battle the wallet was at a loss, evaporating into nothing as in the end it took her an extra hour to make dinner for him. As the next morning arrives at work, Atsumi-chan forgot his bento. Seeing this, he wanted to go to the convenience store, but a phone call interrupted where Shijori is already informed about it, insisting of bringing it his food to him. Upon asking her location, it seems she already used her powers to arrive shortly. He then noticed her outfit to be rather revealing and enough to make her stand out. Even his fellow colleagues took a snap from behind upon being handed his lunchbox. He seems to find something off as knowing her a Neet to go as far to use her powers. She then suddenly asks for a game she wanted. Hearing this made him to give in, making her happy. Out in the mountains, a fellow ninja was also on the lookout for Shijori, and upon seeing her image trending online she set her sights immediately. Being able to easily find out her location, It seems it's been a few years ever since she left their ninja village. Being the prodigy of the Kunoichi clan, Shijori stands out at the very top. Her talent being unmatched, she piles up the bodies of demons and is truly the embodiment of her ideals. It seems she strived to keep on living by serving her and following in her footsteps, devoting herself to that very goal. But in reality she was a crazy psycho lesbo who wants to fall in love with Shijori crazy enough she wanted to bring her back for the sake of her dreams and desire. But upon landing near on the location's balcony, Shijori was seen all messy and smelly hanging out with a man in his 30s. This appearance of the great ninja of the Kunoichi clan made her dreams to be shattered, not being able to say anything about it. However, she seems to direct her anger and frustration filled with horror in her face, giving Atsumi-chan worry seeing her slump and in distraught. As they let her in, she questioned Shijori of how she turned into a shinobi like this. Hearing her words only made her to ponder of how annoying this was. As she pointed how the prodigy's beauty was ruined all over and becoming a shut-in, this immediately enraged her and pointed the blame towards Atsumi wanting to end his life right away. She suddenly got interrupted as a bone-chilling bloodlust could be felt. Shijori with an intense gaze exclaims of not really caring if one stalk her or investigates her, but one thing she only cares that she won't forgive anyone who dare messes with her life. Ayame flinch over the overwhelming bloodlust she felt, but suddenly shudder happily in pleasure, being grateful as she is showered with the prodigy's charisma and tone. Upon asking her to leave, Shidazuri is left to question the people of village and clan consisting of weirdos. Atsumi wants to reply of her being also included in the weirdo list but did not say those words. From a distance another member of the village clan is overlooking from outside, as Shijori continued her neat lifestyle that night. Another knock was heard where a low-rank ninja named Izumi Hina is seen to be pleading on her knees. As Shijori tries to deny her appearance, Izumi all along wanted to receive help from her, but a sudden blackout made her to be furious seeing her game be turned off. Izumi apologized for causing this and being a bother. It seems this low-rank ninja was in a disposition for bad luck, and it seems this is contagious, whereas in it's her natural enemy being as a Neet. The low-rank Izumi revealed of committing their village's taboo. She fell in love with her current master. She tries to give it up, but in the end it haunted her even more. Hearing this made Shijori to held her hands wanting to hear her out. She then asks to be taken in to be a disciple of the prodigy. To explain the village won't forgive her for the crime she committed, as this would eventually make their master contract be broken and she would be replaced. Which they came up with the conclusion of leaving the village. Knowing herself to be a low-ranking ninja, she couldn't really defeat strong monsters without the support of the village. Thus she only asks Shijori to be granted even more strength to protect her master. With confidence in her eyes. With confidence she eagerly wanted to do something about it immediately. But to her surprise, her luck was the worse. Despite using beginner level of ninjutsu and having her martial arts form completed, using intermediate techniques misfired due to her bad luck. It seems Izumi Hina's master also got dragged into this. Their relationship seems friendly towards one another, and seeing them made her remember their master-servant relationship also, where Atsumi mentioned that they were similar to them. Not being able to deny this, she could only stay quiet, flustered thinking about it. As they battle even more monsters, she determined Izumi Hina to be more than enough to be a ninja commander as she has talent. She then staggered, where Atsumi catched her. For Shijori, she had to get serious as a junior is relying on her. He then hugged her as she doesn't slack off despite being a Neet when it comes to protecting him. As they were finishing things up, a monster suddenly appeared. Seeing herself hold back due to her misfortune with bad luck, she never thought of releasing all her power at once. With this she gave this attack with all her power. As Shijori tries to intervene, seeing she was just a rookie, but to her surprise she managed to pull it off flawlessly. As the monster disintegrated, Shijori was caught in the blast sizzling from the burning inferno. As things calmed down and she went back to her Neet life, she insists of playing more games. It seems she was frustrated that her game time was interrupted, determined to finish and clear the game, but as Atsumi looks away for a moment to take a call, he could only find her to be sleeping peacefully, which he tucked her in peacefully. As Atsumi headed outside, he ponders that he should start learning to live without relying too much on Shijori, but he suddenly flinched, caught by surprise as a dagger was held against his neck. Ayame wanted to cancel their master-servant contract. Seeing the situation he was in, he then questioned her that if it's okay for her to do this as murder is taboo for them. Hearing this made her to suddenly destroy his protective talisman. Enraged by his existence, she calls him rude and wanted to rip off his limbs. She then had this quirky smile as she asks he should be grateful of making this process hurt so much. But to her surprise, she suddenly got smashed into bits by a monster. Back to Shijori, she woke up screaming from a nightmare, calming down upon finding out it was a dream. Back to Atsumi, it seems the monster didn't had any mercy for him and finds the circumstances to not be in his favor. Finding this checkmate, Ayame suddenly appeared hurting the monster. Seeing her receiving lots of damage, he wonders how she is able to stand up. But it seems this was a misunderstanding as she loves the feeling of pain, giving the idea she looks fine. It seems she wanted one more hit but sets this aside. She then had her dream to flash briefly as anyone who gets in her way she would purge them. Upon defeating the monster, Atsumi admires her for having such strong strength, however her personality is definitely a bit off. But to their surprise another larger monster appeared, where she smirked and exclaims of how wonderful this was. It seems whilst this was happening, Shijori tried her best to reach Atsumi and assured herself he should be alright. But for Atsumi, he was witnessing something definitely not normal as Ayame enjoys the pleasure of being hit, leaving him to be shocked watching in disgrace. As Ayame tries to take all of the hits, it seems this monster was out of her league. As she takes more damage, she suddenly melted and her power bursts outwards, creating a large explosion. As the beam could be seen from afar and the dust settled, he was horrified to find Ayame all along to be a boy named Momochi Urumu. It seems this was his original form. Upon questioning his reasoning for turning into a girl, it seems he couldn't accept having this body and face like a girl. He then pleaded to Atsumi that he should keep things secret from Shijori. He aired out his feelings despite not having any more power, but was shocked to hear Shijori's voice. It seems the timing was awful and tries to ponder a way out of the situation, fearing for his life. Left with no other choice, he hugged Atsumi. Seeing this made Shijori to struck a nerve as Urumu stepped right onto the waiting landmine.